we're back with another episode of Observer Retro Streams. Today, we begin our final adventure in the Myst Saga, with Part 2 coming your way on March 15th. On March 29th, strap in for Senscape's terrifying new game, Asylum, followed up with Part 2 on April 12th. Enjoy the show.
Hello again, fellow viewers. This first day of March, I will be tackling the final game in the... I'll be tackling the final Myst game in my streaming series, not counting Uru or Myst V. Myst 4 Revelation was released in 2004, and unlike all the others, it went through a turbulent phase. Initially, it was proposed to be developed by Dreamforge, the people who made the game Sanitarium, but for some reason, it was handed off to an internal team at Ubisoft Montreal instead. And a lot of folks say that might have been one of the reasons why this game isn't exactly the best compared to the others. But I won't keep you waiting any longer. Let's jump right in.
For 20 years, I've harbored a secret. People talk about my sons and the evil things they did. Yet still I remain strangely mute. I do not discuss my own actions that day, or the rage I felt when I burned the 2 linking books that had snared them. Some people believe my sons died in those fires, but the truth is, they did not. You're the only one I can confide in, my friend. So I'm asking you to come to Tomorrow. There are things I must tell you about my sons.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm recovering from a sinus infection. But yes, this game, we finally put an end to the saga of Sirrus and Achenar. One way or another, we're going to finally find a way to put that story to rest. Because last we saw them, Atreus indeed burnt the 2 prison books they were in. Now, I'll come out and say that this particular game has a lot of retcons made by Richard A. Watson, because even before this, well, like I said in the old slideshow I used, he viewed the trapbook principle is just a shortcut, and that they really were in prison worlds, but, well, again, I'll hold my comments for later. First, I'll show you the options. This time, we can actually customize what our cursor looks like, because as you can see, it's actually a 3D animated object. It's like a... It's almost like a glove or something. You can actually choose what skin tone it is, or even other colors. There, that's better. Once again, the music operates on the frequency principle like an Exile. And here we have zip mode once again, but it's not exactly like the versions in Riven or Exile. I'll explain when I get to that. Subtitles, of course, and an official Prima branded help section, which I never used. One limitation of the graphics is that, because it's pre-rendered once again, it can only go as high as 1024 by 768, and unfortunately, I spoke with ScumVM and they haven't picked this up to modify it. I don't know if that'll ever change. Immersive effects, water effects, and depth of field. Alright. On to the new game.
This part's really cool if you're not afraid of tight spaces. Dad and me aren't, but sometimes Mom has to close her eyes when I'm driving. I think she's not home right now, because I never could have picked you up by myself if she were. Hey, is that a new image recorder you've got? How cool! And you know, I know the perfect spot to use it. Hang on. Pretty from here. I remember some of the other times you visited us. You've always liked stopping here. It's one of my favorite spots, too. Go ahead. Take a picture.
Yes, for the first time, we actually have a camera in a Myst game.
Just make sure your thumb's not in the shot. Dad always ruins his images that way.
Man, several years after time-lapse did it. Of course, the date of this is 1824.
Weren't you taking pictures before, or just click the button?
Alright.
Did you get it? I think you should keep it in your journal. That way you can take it out and look at it whenever you miss us. tell Dad you're here. Come on.
Right, now that I have freedom of control, I'll just say, that person with this? Yes, that was Hisha, the baby from exile, now grown up to about 12 years old. Well, I guess suppose this cable car explains how we got here in exile, because if I remember this right, this track goes all the way to the cleft. We don't see it in Uru, though. Remember this symbol, because it'll be important later. Interesting. Looks like Atreus has a security camera out here. Is he taking cues from his old father? Well, considering what happened with Ceridro, maybe that's a good thing. This whole game is about the most highest visual fidelity you can possibly get beyond real-time 3D while still being pre-rendered in full motion video, because we have depth of field effects, bloom, lighting changes, and more, a lot of which I actually couldn't use on the old computer I first played this on in 2004. And unfortunately, there is one bug I wasn't able to crush. I had to change mice, and something about the way it communicates with the PC through the polling speed makes the panorama jerk a little bit every now and then. I cranked it down to its lowest setting possible, but it's not fully gone, so I guess I'll just have to deal with it. Anyway. So this must be Atreus' personal laboratory / observatory. Definitely going for a much more hardcore steampunk aesthetic. And check this out. We can actually physically tap stuff and it makes a sound. And we can even shock ourselves on these Tesla coils. Oh, cute, a mechanical orrery. I wonder if that's our system or some other ages. See, there's just so much to tap. It's actually going back to the first Myst game where it has more red herrings scattered around for visual appeal. Oh, crystals. I suppose from Rhyme, perhaps?
Hello, my friend. So you made it in one piece, so Isha's driving wasn't too erratic, I hope. Well, you're probably wondering why I asked you. And the truth is, I need your help.
Again.
As you know, my sons, Sirrus and Achenar, trapped 20 years ago after they destroyed many of the ages I'd written. At the time, Catherine and I decided to leave them imprisoned because we'd hoped it might reform them. And now Catherine believes our son should be released. But I need an objective opinion. I must find out if either Sirrus or Achenar deserve to be freed, and you're the only one we can trust. Remember my old crystal viewer? I've made some changes to it, and I haven't yet calibrated its sound component. It'll actually be quicker if we do this together, and I can show you the two prison ages before we link to them. So if you step to the panel behind you, we can begin.
Excuse me. This next puzzle is optional, but it's a good way to learn the game's controls.
Okay, I'm going to transmit a waveform that's being generated by the first prison age. It will appear as a yellow line in your right-hand monitor. Here it comes. In order to hear Haven, we must manipulate the blue line until it exactly matches that waveform. The blue line is the result of two combined signals, which we'll manipulate separately using the 3 dials: amplitude, frequency, and phase. But first, we have to select a signal to manipulate, so move the slider left or right.
If you ever played Not for Broadcast or Somas, you're probably familiar with this puzzle.
Now turn the leftmost dial to adjust the signal's amplitude, or volume. The volume sounds pretty good. Try turning the center dial to adjust the signal's frequency.
This one's easy to tell because it also makes a tone.
Try selecting a different signal. Turn the amplitude dial. The volume sounds okay. Now turn the dial on the far right to adjust the signal's phase. Try moving the slider to select a different signal.
That part is kind of a meme because the AI keeps saying that phrase if it doesn't know what else to
Try
tell you.
Try selecting a different signal. Try adjusting the amplitude. Got it. Hang on a second, I'll lock in the adjustments and send you the waveform for Spire, the second prison age. Here it comes.
Now this one's tougher.
Turn the amplitude dial. The amplitude's pretty close now.
Oh, and if you hold this button, it shows the yellow line again.
Adjust the phase dial. Try moving the slider to select a different signal. Adjust the leftmost dial. Try turning down the amplitude. The left dial seems well adjusted. Try the frequency, that's the center dial. Frequency's pretty close now. Try the phase dial, it's the one on the right. Try moving the slider.
So basically what this machine is for
Try moving the slider to select a different signal.
is receiving sounds from an age.
Try adjusting the amplitude. Try moving the slider. Reposition the phase.
Dang, that's close.
Try moving the slider to select a different signal. Now adjust the center dial. The speed's about right.
Ah,
No, stop. The frequency was good. The frequency's not right.
we are...
More frequency.
Problem
The
is
speed is pretty good.
it always drops a notch too
Try
far
the
or too
phase
near.
dial. It's the one on the right. Try moving the slider. Turn the amplitude dial. You've got it. Don't change a thing. I'll just lock it in here. Ah, got it. Well done, my friend. You should be able to hear both prison ages now. So let's begin, shall we? What in the name? Oh. The image modulator short-circuited wires are completely fused. Well, the viewer itself seems okay. So maybe if I link to rhyme. All right. Slight change in plans, my friend. Explosion must have shut down the main power supply and damaged the viewer's external image modulator. There's another one on rhyme, so I'm gonna link there and retrieve it. Oh, I'll have to stop at the cleft for some tools first. Why don't you get full power restored while I'm gone? Go to the water wheel control room. Close both emergency release gates, then come back here and use the crystal viewer to contact me. The crystal combination to see rhyme is in my journal.
That particular drawer.
Oh, you'll have to turn on the roof antenna before the viewer will work. Keep an eye on Yisha, will you? I'll be back.
Well, there's our chores for the day. And this is where I was going to say that the writing kind of took a downturn with Ubisoft in charge. Because I think we've just seen the flimsiest possible reasons for having puzzles to do. Because compare that to Riven, where he had to stay behind in order to fix the Riven descriptive book. Here, it's just like going to the grocery store. Oh, and before anyone asks, yes, if you skipped this puzzle, he still would have blown the power. So it would have happened no matter what. And what I was trying to say is that basically, Myst 4 is running on a lot of retcons as to make the whole talking through the gateway image thing from Myst and Riven not canon, and that you would need this thing to hear sounds from an age through the crystal viewer instead. So yeah, like he said, well, oh, and the other thing I was going to say about the camera before I got cut off by Yisha is that if this were period accurate, then the camera would be more like this from the Getty Museum, the camera obscura, because even the old wet plate design wouldn't be made until like between the 1830s and 50s. Oh, that's a start. There's a map here. That's the telescope, and the antenna is controlled from here up to here. And this is where we can view our photos. With each photo taken, we can actually type a little description of what it is, and it leaves a blank space open just for pure notes. Wait, it wasn't finished. Sand and Twitch, sorry to say, but unlike Exile, this game wasn't picked up by ScumVM, so there's no widescreen mod, sadly. This button allows a full screen view, and of course this is a delete switch. Well, better do what he said and get the power on. Can't have a Myst game without it. Not enough power for the bottom, but let's try the middle. With the minimal graphics settings, you couldn't even turn. The camera was locked. But yeah, look at this. This resolution is the highest it can go because it's pre-rendered. And while I'm at it, just in case, I can't tell you how satisfying that typewriter sound is. So this is the whole of Tamana. Last time we only saw one area. Oh, there goes my mouse. So it looks like there's a track along the water that goes to the other side. Quite an impressive setup. Almost reminds me of Voltaic. And oh yes, much like a lot of new games nowadays, there's an option to turn foliage like this off. That's what I had to do on my old PC. If we hold the cursor, we can play with water. This greenhouse is a lower level, but it looks kind of dark. I'll come back to it later.
Hey, come here. You gotta see this. Shh. Don't worry, he'll come back. It's his favorite sleeping spot. My necklace showed it to me. Got it 2 weeks ago on an age called Serenia. Shows me all kinds of stuff. You think that's strange that my necklace shows me things? Dad does. He says a lot of things I've seen on Serenia aren't real. My brothers believe me, though.
Really? So Yishu's been in contact with Sirrus and Achenar. That's kind of odd. Hold on, I gotta check the music. I feel like it should be playing, but it isn't. A lot of botanical work going on, it seems. I feel like I'm missing something. Right, we gotta find where the power is actually coming from. Hi, little fella. So it looks like, only one of these two sides can be accessed at a time, and I'm sure a motorized bridge like that won't work without power. If I had to guess, this must be where Atris and Catherine's sleep together. That is one heck of a sunlight. I hope they have ways to cover it up. That looks like Dunny text, so I better save that too. A code panel in the fireplace. Why does that sound familiar? Wow, look at this. Atris, Catherine, and the two boys on Myst Island. They looked so happy back then. I wonder what went wrong. Now I'll go into detail into what zip mode in this game does. In the other three, it was skipping a set of static nodes, but here, it's more like a checkpoint system. Whenever we pass a certain point, this icon will flash and telling us that a new checkpoint is unlocked. So it'll automatically log to this area. I'll be making heavy use of this because the navigation in Myst 4 is definitely a bit slower than the others, especially with the load times. Even when it was released just on one DVD initially, it was still slow. There's the dam. Oh, red's never a good sign, so I guess that's fixed something.
Let me guess. Dad blew the power again, didn't he? He does that a lot. Mom made him install an extra power box in here just in case. Oh no! His box is supposed to make sure certain things always work in the house. There aren't enough rows lit up correctly. Only a green light on top of a failed row means something's getting power. I wonder if we could move them. Better not. Mom doesn't like me messing with electrical stuff. Come on, little guy, let's go see our friends. Hey, I never noticed that before. It's so cool. I think my beetles are making a nest. Oh, wow. I'll have to show this to Dad soon as he gets home. He loves this kind of stuff.
That's another optional thing. Because it's actually possible. It is possible to open this early and the beetles would fly out and then she'd get angry with you. All these little things actually matter, but it won't be evident until part 2. Another locked door with no visible key. These look like incubators. Gather must be one hardcore biologist. Anyway, on to the next puzzle. There's only as she said, there's only a certain reserve that this box is generating, and as so happens, we have to actually route the remaining power from these two areas, the observatory and the elevator, to the dam itself. If you've ever seen one of those puzzles where you have several beakers full with water and you have to fill one with exactly the right amount in a certain number of moves, well, that's this. I think it's called on TV tropes 3 + 5 = 4. So what you do is, the top row selects where you're going to transfer power from, and the bottom is where you're going to send it to. And you transfer it with this button. And of course, a red light means it's getting too much power, so it still won't work. But now see, we have enough to fill one of the two columns. The other column is a bit harder and takes some trial and error. So these two areas are the same length. But the trick about puzzles like these is that if you can fill one all the way up, that means it leaves the remainder where it is, and then you can mess with it. And if you get stuck, you can reset everything with this lever. And then shave off with this again. See, 5 is what we need for both columns, and we just need to shave off the rest from this second one. Oh, right-click by accident. Oh, I think I got it. Yes. So now I just gotta skimmy on over to the dam and maybe everything will be good again. Oh, check this out. Do you hear that?
Can't talk right now. I'm trying to remember the song I learned on Serena, but it's really hard.
She's playing an ocarina.
I've got to get it perfect because I promised to play to my brother next time I see him.
Some say that song is the Halo theme, but I'm not really sure. Well, the symbols are white, and all we have to do is push this button. And we have power. Signal is grayed out now. I wonder why that is. What the? Christ, did we hit our head or something? Well, whatever that was, I can say it certainly wrecked this bridge. And what in the world was that green flash about? Did someone cast the Avada Kedavra? Well... oh good, we have music again. Wow, full moon and everything. Wow, we haven't seen an age in nighttime since real Myst. Nothing to do but inform the chief on what happened. This is how Tamana is going to be for the rest of the game, and I don't blame him. This is... still looks beautiful after all this time. So this symbol means elevator. I'm not gonna look at all the details right away because there's something we'll find that'll actually make it better. So first order of business is to turn the roof antenna on, and we do that with this rail-mounted chair. Oh, wait. I always forget this step. Right, this lever first. Why use a telescope if you can't see anything? But these look like CCTV monitors for those cameras we saw. Again, I'll look at them later. See, now this button's flashing. Yeah, there's the control for the antenna. But while we're here, we can also play with these little wheels that control the height and direction of the telescope. You can't get a view like this any better than NASA. Before I do this, I changed my mind. And yeah, the burning priority question is, where the frick is Yisha? Now that the power is fully on, we can use this bottom function. Because the bridge is out, this will be our only transportation to the other side. Well, Yisha went towards here, so... Wait, what's that glow? It's her necklace. So this showed the memory of her fleeing in here, and someone tried to capture her, but she shut the door on them. So where is she now? Having a security camera in your own bedroom. I don't know how I would feel about that. And there are a lot more things to look at besides the important place, like this one.
Thank you, my love.
For what?
For everything. For this. And for showing me again and again that no matter how many mistakes we've made, the ending has not yet been written.
Yes, most of these memories are just audio cues. I'll explore over there in a bit, but again... But this amulet is a real game changer. Because now we can get backstory fed right to us in these flashbacks instead of just relying on journals all the time. Hold on a sec. Gotta change something in OBS real quick. Shit. Right, so the journal Atreus wanted us to look at is in here. And this is a historic moment. For the first time ever, instead of us reading journals like in all the other games, this time, the amulet allows us to hear them narrated by the person who wrote them. This is Myst Audible Edition.
I'm always surprised by how good it feels to return home after one of my journeys. In the day, heat shimmers off the cliffs, bathing me in unexpected warmth, and at night, gentle breezes stir the lake, and I often hear Catherine singing to Yisha. The sound of their voices fills me with such joy. I find myself wondering why I ever left. Perhaps I'm more aware of this tonight, having spent so much time alone in Rhyme. The trip was unavoidable. It's been weeks since I viewed Sirrus and Achenar's prison ages, and I needed to be assured of their safety. The crystal viewer did not show much, so I began considering how I might improve it. I'm now fairly certain I can achieve a tighter image if I redesign the mechanism itself. I have yet to tell Catherine of these plans. I do not wish to raise her hopes prematurely. After far too brief a visit with my family, I have returned to Rhyme to conduct preliminary tests. The frigid temperatures in this age are vital for the crystals to function, yet I find it increasingly difficult to work in the cold. Perhaps I can find a way to simulate extreme temperatures inside the viewer itself, so that I can install it in Tomana when ready.
So, blank licking book, crystal selector, containment holders, and cooling unit.
Tonight I set aside experimentation for a few hours to watch the lights illuminate Rhyme's sky. Their beauty has not dimmed since first I saw them. I did not fully enjoy the show, however, for it put me in mind of Sirrus and Achenar and the months we spent here constructing the towers. Soon, what had been a happy memory for me was mired in regrets. I doubt I will ever know what caused my sons to become so greedy. I only know that when they looked at the ages described in my library, fantastic worlds that one could travel to easily simply by touching a book's linking panel, they saw only dreams of wealth and power. They devised a plan, an evil plan. When my back was turned, they linked to my ages, plundered and destroyed them. I know Sirrus and Achenar must pay a price for these crimes, yet it them stranded on the 2 uninhabited ages I wrote to protect my library from thieves. I only hope that my sons will someday reject their wicked yearnings and find it in their heart to reform. After experimenting with several liquid gases, I've found a pressure variable that should allow the crystal viewer to function in Tomana. Tomorrow I link to Rilishan to enlist help from the Guild of Machinists. Catherine was unusually subdued when I showed her the new blueprints. She trusts that the viewer will work, but wishes we could visit our sons in person. I would like that as well, but until I'm convinced of remorse, I cannot risk their escaping. I was fairly certain the evaporator coils would work, and indeed, I was able to achieve a blurry image of Spire within the new viewer's blank book. Unfortunately, a more powerful suppressor is needed to stabilize the image. Guildmaster Andritas suggested that I install several geodes inside the roof of the observatory, and then use an antenna to focus them. This should amplify the clean frequency enough so that the crystal viewer can work. Success. Not only was I able to view both Spire and Haven, but I also saw my laboratory on Rhyme quite clearly. The crystal code for Rhyme was difficult to remember, having not had much reason to use it previously. I must make a full list of codes soon, but for now I will keep Rhymes close at hand. I always knew my sons had great potential, but today I saw something that truly amazed me. Sirrus is harnessing electricity. At least that is what I assume, for the viewer caught a brief glimpse of something I had never before seen in this age. It had to be man-made construction.
So Sirrus is actually building things? Interesting.
A burst of interference destabilized the image before I could study the device properly, but its existence offers proof that at least one of my sons is making the most of his confinement. rather than wallowing in despair. The interference effect is curious. It has disrupted my viewing of ages on more than one occasion. Although I first assumed it to be a problem with the geodes, I now believe it to be subsonic in origin. I think the roof antenna is picking up wave fluctuations emitted by one or more ages. If this is true, I might be able to use the fluctuations to hear what is occurring in an age. I shall have to think on this carefully. It has been an exciting 2 weeks. Catherine, Yisha, and I have just returned from Rilishan, where I spent most of my time in conversations with various guild masters. I am now convinced the shape and color of the crystals gives them individual resonance signatures. By combining the resonance of 5 crystals together, I can discover a global pattern of emissions, of sound signature, as it were, that is unique to the age being viewed. Guildmaster Andritas assisted me in drawing up plans for a filtration panel that will enable the antenna to hone in on whatever wave fluctuation I want. I truly will be able to listen in on an age. Tomorrow I begin building the panel. I have decided to use Rhyme as its preset configuration, since that is the age which first enabled me to construct a crystal viewer. The panel is finished. I'm too tired to test it tonight. Catherine tried to hide it, but the sounds we heard coming from Achenar's prison age nearly brought her to tears. Once again, I had to reassure her of his safety. My words eventually convinced her, but I know she longs for more substantive proof. I fear she may take matters into her own hands soon. I must confess, I too long for more information than the viewer is currently providing. Tomorrow I shall link to Rhyme. I have an idea for an attachment, something akin to a moving eye, that will allow me to change points of view while using the crystal viewer. If it works, I may finally be able to see if my sons have reformed.
So that was the thing that blew up. He was trying to use a gadget that allowed him to change the point of view of the viewer itself. Well, that's that. The journey was quite an interesting one. Although, you ever get the feeling sometimes that Atreus just isn't a very good parent? I mean, think on this. This is the second time somebody broke into his home and potentially stolen something, and he let his sons destroy his other books, all because he's consumed with his own ideas. Does the term absent-minded professor ring a bell here? I mean, who's worse, this guy or Professor Brainerd from Flubber? By the way, if we go out here, well, the tram's still gone. But if we look at this, I'm not going to show this, but if we use the amulet here, it actually replays the opening we saw earlier. Now look at this stuff.
I will not risk having our home broken into again.
But cameras, my love? I'll feel so scrutinized.
I'll only place them in the most likely entry points. You'll forget they're even there. I promise.
So we got the one for outside, one for the old sunroom from Myst 3, and the bedroom. Wait. So if each of the bedroom is an entry point? Ew.
Uh-huh.
A long time ago, when your great-grandmother Anna first mapped this desert with her father, she looked up in the night sky and used that star to find her way home.
Right, to business.
Don't you see, Catherine? The new design means we won't have to go to Rhyme anymore. We'll be able to view our son's ages from right here.
So, if any of you caught my real Myst stream, this viewer works in a similar way to that. It's just instead of morphing crystals out of geodes, we just select them with this control panel. So the code we need to enter is if I remember the order of the crystals from 1 to 8, then the combination is red 6, cyan 2, yellow 8, green 8, no, red 6, cyan 3, yellow 8, green 8, blue 2. We're basically going to be using this to contact Achenar like it's a video phone.
Ah, my friend, are you there? Hope you're getting this. Barely receiving you. Listen, there's a terrible electromagnetic storm here. I can't leave Rhyme until it's over. But I know what you can do. Go to the desk in my bedroom. Below the top drawer, you'll see a symbol. Press on it to open 2 compartments. The commentaries I wrote on Haven and Spire are inside. Oh, and tell Isha not to forget her homework.
I think there are things worse at stake than that.
Ah, my friend, are you there? Hope you're getting this. Barely receiving you. Listen, there's a terrible electromagnetic storm here. I can't leave Rhyme until it's over. But I know what you can do. Go to the desk in my bedroom. Below the top drawer, you'll see a symbol. Press on it to open 2 compartments. The commentaries I wrote on Haven and Spire are inside. Oh, and tell Isha not to forget her homework.
I didn't know pressing the button twice would replay it. Well, I guess you better do what he said and check that out. Actually, there's still more I haven't covered here with the amulet yet. Because now that power's on, we can use this lamp. So now, we can see this.
This is only part of our family tree, Isha. If we wanted to, we could trace our lineage all the way back to when our ancestors first arrived in Dunny.
This looks important, so... Now, I'm not fluent in Dunny, but I know what some of these words mean. We'll find a reference later on. Well, everything's operational now.
That's the 5th time this week, Atris. If you insist on blowing the power so often, then you must make sure we have some kind of backup supply. What if someone gets stuck in the elevator?
Oh right, I forgot. They changed Catherine's actress yet again, and I honestly think this one is the worst. I don't know what her name is, but she's definitely not Sheila Gould or Reagan Alte. Wait, there was a potted plant here earlier.
I have the key, please!
So, did whoever chased Isha force her through this door?
The poor thing. Sirrus said he tried everything he could, but it just didn't like living in his garden. A few days in here, and I bet you it will look much better.
In here is Catherine's journal, which does shed a few light on some things we're going to see later. But again, I gotta warn you, the acting for this person is not good. Yisha's okay, I mean, cut her some slack. She's a kid actor, they can only do so much. But, well, it's worth the reading. Still, prepare for cheesy writing. And some copy-pasted writing from Riven.
I linked to Haven yesterday. The smell of its beach washed over me long before my vision cleared. With the veil of haze slowly lifting from my eyes, I forced myself to breathe very deeply. I had not told Atris I was doing this. He would have argued with me and told me again how dangerous it is to visit the prison ages before Tamana's linking chamber is built. But construction takes time, and I could no longer wait for him. The sight of the shipwreck rising out of the sea filled me with unexpected dread. Of course, I'd known it would be there. I'd seen it countless times in Atris's viewer. But seeing it for real through slanted metal bars made me realize exactly what we'd done. I imagined the words my son would throw at me, and courage drained, away like summer wine. I did not try to signal him. I feel nothing but numbness now. It was my idea to write the chambers into existence, to bend the arts so that a secure room might be inserted in each age, with solid walls no force of man might break. Only then could we risk visiting our sons and leaving a Tamana linking book behind us when we left. It took me months to convince Atris this could work. But now that the chambers exist, and I will speak to my sons for the first time in years, I find myself not knowing what to say. How will I explain our decision to leave them prisoners? If hardship and isolation have not caused them to repent, as was our hope, what words will soothe the anger in their souls? Weeks have passed, and still I have not found the courage to link again. Perhaps it is just as well. Atris was not pleased when he learned what I had done. He begged me to have more patience, then put extra pressure on the Guild of Stonemasons to finish. Today they informed us that Tamana's chamber will be ready in 2 days. Had we been able to use the art to create it as we did with the ones in the prison ages, it would have already been finished. but things always take longer to build when you must do it by hand. Now Atris is looking forward to having our bedroom back. I should be too, but I keep wondering how I will be able to sleep there, knowing our sons are just a wall away. I worry how they'll act when they greet us, how different they will be from the laughing boys I remember playing with toy boats in Myst's reflection pool. They were happy then. We all were happy. Anna was still with us, and the love we shared as a family knew no bounds. Then Anna died, and our cozy world unraveled. To deal with the loss of his grandmother, Atris buried himself in work, spending less and less time with our sons. At 8 years old, Sirrus must have seen this as rejection, but even then his pride was too well formed to let it show. And as for Achenar, he'd never known how to appropriately channel his emotions. I do not excuse the crimes committed. Sirrus and Achenar shattered so many lives in far worse ways than Anna's death shattered ours. It's for this reason that I have stood by Atris's decision and left my sons imprisoned all these years. But
Oh, this next page is... I hate to use the phrase, but it's cringe.
Cannot escape my own culpability in this. For when Sirrus and Achenar needed me most, I was too consumed by sorrow to see. I am being torn in two. I am trapped between a mother's love for her children and a woman's loyalty to her husband. I don't know. It is so hard. I watch Atris and Achenar trying to communicate, and it feels like knife blades ripping through my heart. They don't know how to relate to each other. Achenar speaks only from emotions, and Atris fears he's made his son a savage.
Okay, I gotta tweak the music. It's getting kind of obnoxious.
Only my presence keeps things from fraying. It's easier with Sirrus. They share a love of science, and Sirrus's willingness to discuss advancements he's made ignites a similar excitement in Atris. Yet even then, Atris doesn't believe. He's unwilling to trust because he knows what monsters they have been. I must find a way to resolve this. I must break through Atris's doubts and get him to see what he cannot. It's been a long time since I've written in this journal. I thought perhaps I had lost it, but while repotting plants in my study, I found it behind one of the incubators. It must have fallen there when Atris reconfigured the generator. No matter, I have it now. Yisha asked me today if Atris and I are still... arguing. She was seated at the patio table, her head bowed over her school books. She was concentrating so hard on tracing a Gorohovity, I don't think she saw my reaction. We have always been careful not to disagree in front of her. I should have realized how insightful she can be. I watched my daughter forming the Dani words so carefully, and I remembered how easy it had been to convince Atris to start teaching her the art. He never did teach Sirrus or Achenar. He started to. He wrote Jananin specifically for that purpose. But after a while, he feared they would abuse it, so he stopped. He's not worried with Yisha. He sees how curious she is about life, and how full of warmth she can be. It's obvious how much he adores her, as, I think, do Sirrus and Achenar. If there is any hope in this for all of us, it will be through her. I must not let family tensions upset her. Tomorrow I will speak to Atris about my going to Tay for a few days. Perhaps time away will help me gain perspective and discover what it is I need to do.
Well, that was kind of a slog, but it did fill in one question I was wondering about. Why did Sirrus and Achenar go nuts in the first place? It's because Tiana died, and Atris, who was closest to her, neglected them by burying himself in his work. Ugh. This family needs help. It's not quite up there like the one with Layers of Fear, but it's close. I know this part of the stream is kind of long already, but there's so much packed into Tamana that I figured I'd best get it out of the way before we go to the next level. And it's interesting that they wrote secure linking chambers into the two prison ages. When Aegis did that kind of thing in Myst, that caused the broken boat and stone ship. So I wonder if they've actually improved over the years. Alright, hold on. I need to... I'll be right back. So as he said, in the desk are the two commentaries on the prison ages. Aha! There are the commentaries. So all this is setting up to imply that we'll actually be visiting these ages. I had a plan on which order to go in, so I'm going to start with Spire.
Spire, I've called it, for that's the image I kept in mind as I wrote the book that would link here. A soaring rock and crystal spire rising out of dense clouds like the watchtower of some gem-studded castle. Now that I'm here and am exploring the age in person, I find it to be exactly as I'd envisioned. Beautiful, yet so very deceptive. From the tower formation upon which I sit, an ocean of clouds spreads out below me. Rough stone steps descend toward them, ending at an empty terrace area. Created over centuries by the erosive power of wind, these steps are so evenly matched that I almost believe they were man-made. Yet, how could they be? For Spire has never had any inhabitants. Steps are not the only example of how the illusion I sought to create in this age holds true. Shortly after linking here, I walked through massive archways of stone, searching for a view beneath the clouds. As I walked, I felt as if the ghosts of a past civilization walked with me. This feeling was only enhanced by the beautiful harmonic sounds heard everywhere I went. I would have liked to determine the source of these sounds, simply for my own edification, but other concerns must take precedence. Having found the flora caverns and assured myself of Spire's ability to support human life, I'm at last ready to leave. I even feel more comfortable with my decision to use this age as a prison world if I must. Yet I am sad to leave it too. There is still so much I could learn about the art simply by spending more time here, comparing the age with my original intentions for it. Unfortunately, once I link away, dropping my Myst book into the clouds as I leave, I know I will never be back. And I truly must go, for I still have another prison age to investigate.
At least this journal is actually red and not pink like in Myst 1. So yeah, because of all this complexity, I'm going to save the blue book for part 2 when it's actually relevant. So before we take off, let's punch in that new code. And of course that back section we haven't been to yet. Yeah, I'm sorry I can't skip these elevator transitions. But hey, at least you can look at it from different directions. So it's green 1, blue 7, red 8, yellow 4, cyan 5. Sadly, no, there are no bonus images in this viewer, unlike Real Myst. I don't think Ubisoft cared as much. Well, well. It looks like Sirrus made some crystal sculptures that uncannily resemble that painting we saw in their bedroom. Was he sentimental about all that? I don't know. Something feels fishy about this. From what we know from Myst 1, the guy was an alcoholic and a drug addict. By now he's probably been doing 20 years of cold turkey. Finally, after all that, let's go check out the backside of Tamana. Wobbly.
A bit more of a curve.
No, I'm only 10, Daddy. I don't think I can make a whole world.
You're not making a world, my desert bird. You're making a link to a world. Come on, I'll show you an easier one.
So he's teaching her the art? That's a twist. But hey, look at this. We finally have the Dunny alphabet. And with this, we can actually translate what's in the family tree. I'll try and do some of what I know for now, just for later. Oh, and if you look over here, it's Yisha's been practicing writing her own name. Y E Sh and ah. Keep that in mind for later. Check this out. We can actually use this bellows to stoke the fire. And hurt ourselves. These don't look like Rand or Robin Miller.
If he's thinking ahead, he'll see the trap I've set and leave my queen alone. But if he's not, I may just win this game in 2 moves.
Wonder who he was playing against. Pretty basic kitchen.
You don't make this meal very often, do you, Daddy? Maybe we should hide the pan before Mom gets home.
Gotta give credit, this level of interactivity, even just for little things, is still pretty good after all this time. So that's what that symbol means.
Your father's linking home tonight. Why don't we use the special plates?
Nah, I don't want to burn the place down. So this is where Yisha sleeps. Man, girl's got a building all to herself. This whole setup would probably fall into the category of rich living on Earth, or I mean, in where humans live. We're still in New Mexico. I'm not gonna touch this. This is a puzzle for later. That's cute. Little marble maze. Maybe it's Plinko, actually.
Look, Mom. Look what Sirrus made me. It's a water spirit, just like I described to him. Isn't it beautiful?
That's one way of looking at it. It's glowing, too. Interesting solar setup. I think I'm done here for now. time to do what we were here to do all along. Because remember that sheet I looked at earlier? The two lamps in this room power lasers inside the fireplace. This is on, and the other one is over there.
That was such a good day. I wish so many things, Atris. Tell me again we did the right thing.
Huh, not much of a fireplace because there's no chimney. But then, why would they have wood sitting out? Anyway, so ye should push this button. There's the grid panel. Now, it's not quite as simple as the one on Myst, because if we click 1, the surrounding 4 light up. It's one of those puzzles. But it's not hard. You just gotta watch where you click. See, these two are overlaid. And oh, I see. So whoever broke in must have linked in through here and set off some kind of explosive or something that blew this door off the hinges. So I'm guessing what happened to the bridge was just an accident.
Patience, my love. We've almost finished the linking chamber. There's just the security seal to install. But we will see our sons again soon, I promise you.
Excuse me. Well, here it is. The linking chamber. The books are clamped shut. So I guess this thing operates like an airlock of sorts, how no one can use the books when it's open. Here it is, boys. The moment you've been waiting for. These are the unedited books to the Prison Ages. The ones we saw in Myst were just additional linking books with the code altered to become traps. At least that's how I believe it. So now, for the first time ever, we'll finally get to see where the brothers were sent to after the books were burnt. And today, it will be Spire, the Red Book. Something's not right. It looks like whoever bombed the chamber on Earth also did the same thing to this linking chamber. But how? What kind of explosive would be able to do this? It looked like the Sirrus and Achenar would sit here. This was like some kind of horn. Well, that's definitely busted. It's like some kind of exchange basket. Well, there's the Tamana book. Well, since this wall's destroyed, I guess we can actually explore the age. But I gotta warn you folks. Let me just say, every age in this game was developed sequentially, not all at once. And while Haven, Tamana, and Serenia were all featured in the marketing, as shown in these wallpapers, nowhere in the trailers or their websites was Spire ever mentioned, because as far as I know, this place was developed last, and we all know what happens to the last things made for a game. And in fact, I'm not going to talk too much about it because someone else on YouTube already has, but there's going to be some holes in the plot. Enough holes to drill through Swiss cheese. So, be ready for that.
Dad told me you never wanted to learn Donnie when you were little. That's why he never taught you.
I guess I didn't back then. I was having too much fun learning other stuff. I was pretty stupid back then.
Here, maybe you should try learning now. With me.
Really? You'll teach me, Donnie?
Why not? Somebody should.
Isha wanted to teach Sirrus Dunny? I'm not sure that's a good idea considering Atris practically cancelled the art learning program from Exile. So we're at the very summit of the spire itself, and the chamber was just wedged into the rock. Yeah, a whole side's been blown out of this thing. Let's see. So, we heard something shatter, and then it followed by a sound and then an explosion, and we heard that sound in Tamana. So, did Sirrus make sonic explosives? Jeez. I won't lie, this age is my favorite of the two because of this so-called natural architecture. And these steps were formed from wind, he said. Looks like an elevator shaft. That is a long way down. Well, there's the sculpture.
Come on. You must have seen it a million times growing up. What was it like? Father was writing. Mother was. Left of him. Who had the boat? I had the boat. Yes! Yes, I had the boat.
Doesn't explain why he built this, though. I guess this was a campsite he set up when he was making the sculptures. I don't really buy that this was when he first got here, because we'll see where he actually slept later.
I thought I was the only devious one in our family. But this... Oh, this is classic. No book, Father, no linking. Fuck! Oh! Think, Sirrus. Think.
That actor's name is Brian Wrench, actually. And I heard he works as a counselor now, ironically. I don't feel ready to use this yet because we haven't explored everything yet. I'm not so sure if all of this formed naturally because, I mean, can Roman arches like this really be formed by nature? I mean, the physics in ages can get kind of weird, but... This looks important. A pentagonal pipe and, well, note these meters. We're going to see more of them. And they don't have a 0 mark. That tripped me up when I first played.
Double passed through both loops. Beautiful knot. Let's just hope the linking book is down there.
Strap in, because this cutscene is almost as fun as the rides in Exile. Whew, what a ride. But here is where we run smack into the plot discrepancies with this age. All this stuff here looks machine-made. Now, I'm not going to harp on too much about this, but if there'd been a little bit of explanation for this, it would have been nice, but Ubisoft gave none. The Stellan Indicator's journal, for instance, in Myst, did say that there were raw materials in the age and he needed tools to get it. But this is what happens when Ubisoft writes your story. I mean, take a look at this. It's a straight up circuit board.
Looks like those circuit lessons you drilled into me in Voltaic have finally paid off, Father. Of course, figuring out how to complete this electrical network was 10 times more difficult, seeing how I had to build everything from scratch.
So this looks like a distribution map of all the power. So these are the things Achenar saw Sirrus building.
Yes! I knew it would work. I knew there was enough static electricity out there to be gathered by my conductors. Now, to stop wasting it in a useless display of light and actually channel it somewhere.
Well, looky here. All these roots from these hanging from these columns must be providing the plants Achenar mentioned. Oops.
Impossible. Every scientific principle I know tells me these rocks shouldn't be floating, and yet somehow they are. Don't know how you did it, Father, but if you can write it, I can certainly use it.
Wow. Certainly has a lot of these plants, but this is all he had to eat in the 20 years Sirrus was here. If anyone watched The Martian or read the book, Mark Watney got sick to death of potatoes after eating nothing but them for 18 months. Wow, there's so many rocks orbiting this castle like a asteroid field. And at least he got water too.
Your faith in me is truly amazing, Mother. How long before I kill this one?
So he lied to Catherine that the plant hid in his garden. He just killed it. And this is a statue of Catherine. It looks like he's extracting the juice from the plants for something.
Has to be fake. Has to be. But Will getting to it allow me to finally reach the ground? Have to know. Have to get over there. Remarkable. No change to its molecular structure, no buildup of illumination inside. As long as the crystal remains grounded, electricity just passes straight through it. Interesting.
So this here looks like a scale model of the equipment downstairs. If we turn this crank, this conductor builds up electricity, and then if we flip this switch, it powers this little magnet, and if we turn the wheel now, the magnet stays powered. Interesting. Well, at least we'll get to find out what Sirrus has been up to all this time. Now keep in mind, the game is acting like he never interacted with the player in Myst, but I like to think he started doing this when H changed the code on the trap books, which sent him across, and he just lost it when he realized he was still trapped.
It appears that I have underestimated him. I did not think he could be this devious. He always said Spire was dangerous, but I assumed he meant its people were violent. Violent and potentially xenophobic. The perfect combination with which to orchestrate a coup. But there are no people here. No prosperous civilization for me to rule. I see now how his linking panel fooled me. Congratulations, Father. This hand goes to you. I have established a temporary encampment near the vegetal cavern. The food I brought with me should last a month. After that, I will be forced to grow what I eat. The plants here are neither scrumptious nor overly abundant, but I have tasted several and find the nutrition is there. Turning now to the question of escape. I believe there may yet be a Myst linking book here. The simplest way for Father to have disposed of it would have been to jump off the palace as he touched it. There are other ways, of course, but I cannot ignore this possibility. I must at least attempt to reach the ground. This is fast becoming unacceptable. I have slid down every oddly shaped windpipe in this age, and have yet to see below the second cloud layer. I was fairly certain that at least 3 of the passages would prove successful, yet even they dead-ended inside a magnificent sealed cavern full of crystals. The crystals themselves are curious. Something about their inner matrix makes them susceptible to a buildup of negative charges. When I touched one, I received a terrible shock. At the same time, the faint light that had been emanating from the crystal faded, and I heard a very curious hum, which ceased as soon as the crystal's charge was expended. I should like to study these crystals more thoroughly, and will institute a plan to mine the cavern extensively. Last night, I saw lights flickering in some of the other palaces. It occurred to me that I might not be alone. What if this age is like Stone Ship? Father never could explain how Emmett and Branch just appeared there. He said the art was always surprising him. Could it be that the lights I saw flickering were made by other people? What I would give to discover this is true. After all these months of solitude, just to have another person to talk to. About the floating rocks. There is a phosphorescent green mineral running through much of this age which exhibits strong diamagnetic properties. At least that is the most workable hypothesis I have devised that can explain how the rocks I see outside my garden are able to float. This has given me an idea. If I can capture one of the larger boulders, I should be able to turn it into a vessel, and thereby sail across the clouds to the nearest palace. The most difficult obstacle to achieving this will be maintaining the necessary altitude. I have noticed that these rocks float higher than the highest point on that palace. Forcing my ship to float lower than it prefers will take some doing. For the past few weeks, I've been watching storms move through the second cloud layer. They appear as flashes of light inside the strata. The violence of these storms does not reach me in the garden. I encounter no rain, barely feel the wind. I am completely safe here, nestled between layers. I do not know how this is possible. How could Father have created a world which exhibits so many scientific impossibilities? He never did explain how to write an age. He never taught Achenar or I the art. I wonder now if I should have insisted. The crystals I mined from the lower cavern are really quite remarkable. There seems to be no limit to the amount of electricity they can store. Unfortunately, this makes working with them difficult. So long as a charged crystal is isolated, the energy inside it remains trapped in its matrix. But the moment the crystal even brushes against a grounded object, stored charge flows out, producing a most amazing song. I should like to capitalize on this singing ability, if only as a pleasant diversion. It might be nice to hear some music in these caverns. Regardless, I believe the crystals can solve my rock ship problem. By affixing them to some of the floating rocks, then casting them back into the clouds, I should be able to harness enough of Spire's natural electricity to fuel an electromagnet. The attractive force of the magnet, combined with the smaller magnetic fields of the lightning conductors, should be able to lower the ship and guide it to the nearest palace. It is definitely worth an attempt. Another storm is brewing as I write this. I can feel the hairs on my arms starting to rise. I'm almost crazed with anticipation, waiting to test the first conductor. My God, is this what Father felt? Every time his hand hovered above the panel of a book he'd just written? Did he feel this much excitement as he stood poised to learn if his theories had worked? Why did he never share this with me? If he had, perhaps things could have been different between us. The first conductor is glowing. Here goes nothing. No! 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 My calculations were perfect! The ship should not have broken free. The distance between the conductors must be too great. I'm going to have to add more to the system, but if I do, the electromagnetic pull will be too strong and the ship will crash to the floor. So can I counterbalance it? Create a second electromagnet in the roof of the garden. I am going to have to start building again! And capture another rock for a ship. This mistake has set me back years! But I am close. So close to reaching the nearest palace, and from there maybe accessing the ground. I only hope the linking book still works.
Well, that was an interesting read. Looks like Mr. Napoleon wannabe got immediately to work trying to escape as soon as he came here. It was kind of a weird idea of him just... It would have made more sense to him to just reconfigure the existing magnet instead of spend more time making a new one. So the top one's all the way up there, and that looks like the ship. And there's more conductors. Oh, you haven't been to the bottom of this shaft yet. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, a dungeon gate. Whatever that is looks pretty interesting, so... I didn't show it, but if you came up here using the elevator, this hatch would be locked.
Idiot! You've run these calculations a million times. Counterbalance the magnetic forces perfectly, otherwise the ship won't get out of the dock. And you do want to get out of the dock, don't you? After all these years of trying?
Well, let's take a look at this puzzle. Boy, not gonna lie, that's a pretty sick looking ride. So we have 4 conductors, a breaker switch, and we need to get this dot down to this marked spot on this meter, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The problem is, it's not as simple as just flipping a switch. Each time you try moving this slider, it adds or subtracts a certain amount of electricity with every move, and you only get 3 moves to do it. Well, that wasn't right. Down below are 7 conductors. I don't like this kind of puzzle because it's very arbitrary. It doesn't make sense for something Sirrus would make. And as such, I don't really care about strategy. I'm just gonna do the solution as I know it. I don't normally do that with Myst, but again, Ubisoft really dropped the ball with this age.
Okay, no slip-ups this time. I really do not want to lose another ship. Guard magnet is on. Docking station conductors are charged and ready. Here goes.
So it's up in position 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, we need to ground all 7 of these to draw it into the optimal position. Right side adds 4. Middle subtracts 2. And left adds 1. So if we keep moving this left and right on this side, it'll just keep filling all the way up. Okay, so this bird is ready to fly, but there's one place I haven't been yet. I don't want to leave the castle yet. So now this system is telling us that what conductors are on and what else is being powered. So I guess those 3 giant crystals, like over there, are providing additional power as backup. Curious as to what this is. Yeah, we haven't been over here yet. Whoa. Has Sirrus been setting off more bombs? Oh yeah, and now comes the creepiest track in this age, with additional chorus by Dave Stringer, just like Voltaic. Jesus Christ, what did he do? He built a fan up there, too. I knew it! I said Sirrus took his sheets and pillows from Channelwood, so this is where they probably ended up.
What kind of a move is that? You had me, Father. You totally had me. And now you're leaving your queen wide open? Getting the narrow chess pieces out of you was more of a challenge than this.
So, Atris was playing against Sirrus. And from what I know, he made a legal move and Sirrus didn't notice it. But some of these chess pieces look different than the others. And he said Nera. That's the really hard rock. Oh man, I don't know if I'd be able to sleep in a place like this. Stronger than any other substance. Every partially successful rock test considers just 20 units of power. So what the frick did he do?
Commencing rock test number 29. Yes, this should be it. This should be the one.
Well, that's what you get for playing with explosives. And I don't care what anyone says. This tube is hexagonal. The only thing that can trip people up is that the front end of this is missing because it got blown off. And if, whoa! The force was so strong it blasted the meter onto the bedpost like a boomerang. Aha! Because Sirrus must have been following Gen's footsteps because he made himself an insanely complicated throne. Even made a statue of his parents. Judging by the symbol, I'd say this looks like a breaker. Well, that solves that problem. So what is this thing? Hold on a second. I recognize that sound. I've heard it before. So I was right all along. This area is where the Red Book would have linked to. The sound matches. Hear it? It's the same one. So whatever this evil contraption is, it looks like it needs a certain amount of power. So here, 4 units. This needs 11. And the maximum value needed is 36. Well, we don't have nearly that enough power from the 2 places we've been to, so... It's time we set off for the nearest palace. Jack Wall does it again. Holy cannoli. Sirrus set up an entire farm of these conductors. Well, I guess I know where we find 36 units from. But there's a giant hole in the path. Well, whatever this is, it looks like this actually goes below the second cloud layer.
At last, after all these years. Freedom!
Stand by, Froz. I think you're gonna get your answer. I see no ground here. It looks more like a really weird star. Like the core of this age went radioactive and just destroyed everything.
Sirrus. And I will not be defeated!
Robin Miller, you are not. Anyway, it looks like he built another telescope, and this one we can move around. And on certain hotspots, this button lights up. Looks like some kind of winch or tuning system. So we're looking at the base of the original palace. Oh, I know what that is. Not much to do down here except look at this giant winch. Now this puzzle kind of tricked people up because when you pull the lever, this thing doesn't move. But if you do a little pixel hunting, it turns out there's just a floating rock stuck in it. Now we can cross.
Have to do it. Have to set up the network correctly so that enough power flows into the throne. It's the only way to reach the right frequency.
Oh boy, this is gonna be complicated. Far left adds 7. second at -3. And far right adds 2. So we need 36. 7 times 4 is 28. So if we add 8 to that, we'll get 36. No, that wasn't right. Okay, I looked at a walkthrough. We need actually 29 units on because it's actually the combined total of this and the other 2 stations. There, 29.
Heck of a lot of electricity being gathered out there. And as soon as I finish wiring this circuit, it'll go straight through the throne to where I need it the most. Can you hear the music yet, Father?
I don't think I did it right. Told you, I don't like this puzzle at all. It's too cryptic. No? Okay, no, I got it right. We have 29 units here, and 9 here. So this totals up to 38. That's too much. So this means we need to take one of these two functions offline after we get back. I'm going to show something first, because something happens if the throne is receiving too much power. Yep, if there's too much, the breaker blows. It actually works the other way too, where you can power all the conductors on the far palace and turn the dock magnet off. Everything looks stable. Let's see what this does. Holy moly! Did Sirrus make a kind of choir chamber in this place? Wait, no. Those don't look like seats. They look like racks. And those are figurines. And this statue came down too.
Not long now, Father. Not long before I show you exactly what a smart little girl can do.
Is he talking about Yisha? That sounds bad. Can't get out here, so let's go down more. Okay. Well, at this level, something's actually changed. These sliders showed up. What is it with this game and sliders? Well, that sounds bad. Sorry, I just turned the... just adjusting the volume. Would make a good DJ sample, but whatever this system is, it definitely sounds out of tune. There's this icon, but there's no place for the slider. But if we follow this line to here... Oh! Okay. This is very precarious. We're literally hanging off the bottom tip of the palace. But at least now we know what we saw from the telescope. This is where those column values come in. So all three of those pipes are the endpoints for these cables. Now remember, again, there is no zero value on these markings. It starts at 1. So 2, 3, 4. And then 1, 2, 3. And finally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It's like tuning a giant guitar. Oh, there's also this.
God! No wonder I can't get the right frequency. When they slip out of tune, these cables sound worse than Mother's caterwauling.
Well, let's go up and see if they're actually tuned. Oh yeah, that definitely sounds better. So what's all this for? Well, if we look here, there's these display cases with a mineral in each one, and it looks like they're held in place by a spring pushed through this hole like it's a pin in a lock. That one must be a Nara chess piece. Well, this is where those notes Sirrus dropped come into play. Let's start with this one. Number of conductors needed to power cable 1 and disrupt blue crystal sample is 3. It's nice that you can work this out on screen in text instead of having to do it by hand on paper. Two harmonics and musical chart. The total to disrupt the blue crystal is meant to be, well, the total of the conductors in the garden and dock, regardless of charge, is actually 11, and it needs to be divided. Rock requires 20 units. Nara needs maximum power. I don't know how you're supposed to work it out, just trial and error, but it's actually finally, none of these values actually equal 20, but the closest one is 1066. Let's start with that. Now, the problem with these sliders is that if you let go too early, it drops to the previous notch. And in fact, this puzzle was so complicated in timing that Ubisoft actually released a patch to fix it. I remember having to download that when I had it on DVD. See here, it's starting to vibrate, but it's not enough. So, but if we go to 1055, now it's out, and as you can see by these notches, these holes, the number of holes indicate how long the lock will stay open. Rock has 3. Nera has 4. Well, as it happens, we need to open them in the order of the holes because of how long they last. But I was waiting for this moment because I brought a little surprise. That keyboard I mentioned, I actually have it connected to OBS this time. It's a shame Sirrus is all alone here, because this cave looks like the perfect setup for a concert hall. He really should have used an actual piano keyboard instead of these stupid sliders. Well, that was symphonic. Whatever that is must have been really important for Sirrus to barricade it with a lock. Almost as if he was afraid someone was going to go snooping in this age. Well, this place looks dangerous. But considering Sirrus lost his lab in the explosion, I guess He must have put this here for a reason. Wonder what that did.
Interesting problem. The inner matrix wants to hold on to an electrical buildup indefinitely, but it loses it as soon as the crystal touches a grounded object. So, how to keep the crystals isolated until I can use them?
So that confirms it.
Something has happened. There is a structure in the spire that was not there 9 days ago when I sailed off to harvest more crystals. Its existence is impossible. Yet I have stood inside its foyer and know that it is real. I'm forced to make an inconceivable deduction. Somehow, my father is still alive. I do not understand how this can be. Regardless, given the design of the chamber, and in particular its barred dividing wall, I suspect that our reunion will be tense. 15 years. Still, it is not enough for him. This age was nothing when I arrived. Nothing but floating rocks and debris. I am the one who made it livable, and I did so without help from any quarter. If I could have found just one single person to assist me. But no, he does not want to talk about accomplishments. All he wants to talk about are the books. Yes, I burned them, Father. I am sorry. Now, can we put the past aside and let me out of here? Another wasted evening playing repentant sinner in his linking chamber. I do not know why I even waste my time. It is obvious he will never be convinced. But what of Mother? Her endless hand-wringing is as maddening as ever, yet there must be some way I can use it. Perhaps if I play upon her guilt. Create a sculptural vignette which she can see inside their viewer. If I choose the appropriate memory, it should convince her that I, too, have my regrets. This is intolerable. If he did not intend to set me free, why create the chamber in the first place? To flaunt his all-powerful skill? I get it, Father. Really, I do. Everything I have accomplished here pales in comparison to what you can do with the art. It is the one power you have that I shall never defeat. No wonder you refuse to teach it to me. I will take this no longer. It is time I showed him some of my power. Father believes his chamber to be impenetrable, but he's forgotten the very laws he once explained to me. Frequency and molecular vibration. The crystals can do it. If I find the right frequency, their song can set off a vibration that will tear through the chamber on a molecular level. Those impenetrable walls will shatter like glass. No doubt I will need a great deal of electricity to do it. I'd better retune the musical instrument. I have a sister? I do not know what to think. It is something I never even considered. I must not let it affect me. There's too much work to be done. I need to get more power to the cables. Building additional conductors will take too long, but if I dismantle parts of the rocket ship network, then rewire the remainder directly into the throne. But if his chamber is breached, there will be no need. It is no use. He will never teach me the art. Questioning him about it only makes him suspicious. Perhaps, with him out of the picture, I can learn it from the dunny. I cannot proceed without a sample. I've tried shipping off pieces from the chamber using every possible method save the crystal, but my efforts have all proven fruitless. How can I convince him to give me a piece? Or better yet, a set of matching pieces. This will require a very delicate touch. I wonder if he still enjoys playing. So that was my dear little sister. I see now why he's so taken with her. She's only a child, and yet several times during our discussion I caught her studying me, attempting to ascertain what to believe. How much have they told her, I wonder? I don't even care. It's obvious they value her more than they ever did Achenar and me. Very well, then. I shall use even that to my advantage. Retrofitting of the old crystal cavern proceeds on schedule. The loss of my lab was a setback, for I cannot continue frequency tests until all the cavern walls are removed. But that explosion has made me very cautious. I would rather dangle over the stars than have solid rock walls explode on top of me.
No! He cannot do this! Why is he bringing her into this? I will not allow it. I will not allow a mere child to have that much power over me. How dare he agree to teach her the art? There must be a way, some way to get the knowledge from her. But how?
This looks different.
Go ahead, Father. Go ahead and teach her. If you insist on giving this power to Yisha, then I will make sure you're also giving it to me. I have found the frequency.
Well, I'd say the jury's out on this one. Sirrus has just completely lost it. From get-go to today, the only thing he cared about was escaping, even if it meant manipulating his parents' emotions to try and give him what he needed to get free. And that's how he learned to make those bombs. So, I'm currently in the vote that he kidnapped Isha. The evidence is stacking up already. And as it happens, this is the part of the chamber that got blown off, and that's why we couldn't use this elevator, because it fell all the way down here. Although if that's the case, why are these struts intact? So since he found a way to destroy Nara, we gotta destroy this too to use the elevator. I'm sure drug withdrawal didn't help him in his case either. So this is how he transports the bombs. So, whichever crystal figurine falls in this bucket will stay isolated and not break. So we need one of these to land on the floor so it'll break this. Just for fun, I'll show the 1055 one first. Whoa, it looks like the crystals are actually holding their charge instead of releasing it to make sound. Nope, that's not high enough. Full throttle. Wow, that's bright. Yep, that did it. And this shaft should take us back to the starting area. But before I pull this, notice this medallion hanging here. This is a randomly generated color pattern that we'll need later in the game. Be ready for one awesome cutscene. Well, that was fun. Oh yeah, and if you use the amulet on this, you can replay the cutscene at will. So now that we know Sirrus is practically irredeemable, that begs the question, what about Achenar? Well, that, my friends, will have to wait until part 2. See you next time.